Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from Faber-Castell. This is not a new pen model. It's been around for absolutely ages. I've just never reviewed one and I recently got one, so I thought, why not share this review with you? I've been a long-term fan of Faber-Castell and their fountain pens. The Loom, the Essentia, these are pens I absolutely adore. The Emotion is, I think, like a fairly modern, almost sort of classic. The Faber-Castell versus Graf von Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell is sort of like the more standard line, if you will, whereas the Graf von Faber-Castell stuff is the sort of a luxury line, if you will. So the Ambition comes from that sort of standard line. It comes, sleeve on the box, little drawer, all that kind of stuff, little instruction manual, and here is the pen. Now, there are lots of versions of this pen available, lots of finishes, lots of materials, all that kind of stuff. But this is the black resin version with the chrome clip, cap and all that. I'm going to talk about the parts and features, do a writing sample, and then talk about some pros and cons. So you can see on the top here, it's just a simple disc on the top. You then get a nice sort of spring-loaded clip. The cap is cylindrical. It's got the Faber-Castell logo on it there. And then the body of no step down, straight onto the barrel, and the barrel of the pen continues along. And then we get this step down onto another chrome end there, which is where the pen posts. Now, it is a snap cap pen, and it's a very secure snap. And when you take that off, it reveals this little step down onto a very small chrome section, and then the standard Faber-Castell steel nib, and I have it here in a medium, and there is the plastic bead. Now, as I said, this pen posts onto that end there, and you just click that on, and it's very secure. It's not going anywhere. It's a slim-ish pen. It's got a bit of a weird section on it, but that is the way this pen is made. It is a cartridge converter pen, and I have it here with a ink cartridge of Diamine Monaco Red. The pen is not provided with a converter, which I think is terrible. I used the cartridge that came with it, and this is the second cartridge I've had in the pen. And why a fountain pen at the price point that you're expecting for this pen doesn't come with a converter, I still have no idea. That's beside the point. But that is the basics of this pen. It is it's a nice sort of clean lined, not minimalist, but very clean lined, simple pen. So let's do a size comparison. Simple size comparison today with the Lamy Safari. You see they're a pretty similar length pen. It's a very sort of standard size. Uncapped, the Lamy is a little longer. It's also slightly girthier. But whereas the Faber-Castell has a roughly sort of number 5 size nib, the Lamy has its own specific kind of nib. And you can see also the Lamy has a very sort of a, long grip section, whereas the section here, not technically a grip section, and you go sort of straight onto the barrel. It's a bit of a weird one, but more about that a little later in the video. Posted, not huge difference, but the Lamy does definitely come out a little longer when it is posted. So what are the dimensions of the Faber-Castell Ambition? Well, it's 140 millimeters when it is capped. It's 123 when it is uncapped, and that's how I choose to write with it. And then posted, it's 159. The grip section here, or the section here, is about 9 millimeters, whereas the rest of the pen body is about 11 millimeters. The entire pen weighs 28.5 grams. And then this is where the pen runs into some issue. So the body of the pen weighs 13.5 grams, and the cap weighs 15 grams. Yes, 15 grams versus 13.5. So the cap weighs more than the pen. Now, you are putting it right on the back there, and so much of this weight is at the end that this posted weight is just completely off. Now, I hold it back on the barrel of the pen here. A couple of things, I don't mind that because it gives me a good distance away from the page that sort of brings it more into line with something like a number 6 size nib, but the balance of this is not great. I can get away with that with it unposted, and that is how I choose to write with it. For the writing sample here today, I have my traditional 90 GSM Clairefontaine paper. Let's get writing. We had a little glitchy hard start there. I think that was more because the pen has been uncapped as I've been filming this, sort of waving it around a bit, but I really honestly don't find those that often. This has a steel medium nib, and I've had a lot of these steel medium nibs from Faber-Castell, and I love them. I absolutely love them. The ink in this is Diamine. Monaco Red, my favorite red ink on the planet. Love it. Love how dark and rich it is on the page, and I love this ink is perfect for me for when I want a red, but I don't want a bright red that sort of stands out. Let's do some writing. Perfect. I'm going to go straight into the fast writing. Even when writing that fast, this pen is a dream on the page. It's wet, it's, you know, it's smooth, it's just a wonderful nib on the page. Reverse writing is actually quite smooth, but it does dry out quite quickly. These are not flex nibs, so please don't push them. You know, if you're careful, you can get a little bit out, but I wouldn't be doing that too much. I just love how these Faber-Castell fountain pens have always written. The Loom was a long time favorite of mine and still is. I wish that they hadn't seemed to have like stopped that, you know, manufacturing that pen. I think it was just absolutely glorious. The Essentio is one of my favorite sort of everyday writer pens. But this writes absolutely beautifully. It's a great ink in this pen also. Smooth, generous writer. What's not to love? Okay, let's talk business. What does this pen cost? Well, I got this for just under $100 through online. So 99, I've seen it up to around the 115-ish Australian mark, and it's normally priced around the $80 mark. So not a super inexpensive pen. I think the nib experience on the page, the sheer writing experience of this pen is worth the money. But I have some serious issues with the pen itself. So let's get started on those. Firstly, a pen at this price point not coming with a converter is ridiculous. I will say it again and again and again. Jump the price, put the price up by a few extra dollars if you need to, but just include it. Easy. So many brands do. Bigger issues with this particular pen. Let's talk about the grip. Now, that little spot there is just ridiculous. Obviously, you're not going to hold it on there because you're holding it really down close to the nib. It's just not comfortable. So you hold it back. There's no defined area for it. It's not super comfortable. That step down, if you do get it under your fingers, is really not, it's not sharp, but it's very noticeable. I just don't love it. I see that they've gone for this like symmetrical sort of feel of the posting end and the capping end. And that means that the pen does post and cap very securely. But it's not necessarily an attractive element, and in the end it leads to the pen's biggest downfall, and that is the balance of this pen is absolutely terrible. If you post this pen, like, the balance point is just there around the cap. Like, it is so far back, it is so like, yeah, you can do it, you can get away with it, it's not that big an issue in the grand scheme of things, but it's just bad engineering. It makes this pen a pen that I don't necessarily see myself using a whole lot. When I write with this unposted, it's perfectly fine, but there's there's just issues here. And while I love how the pen writes, that's an issue. Another thing I don't love is that there is a point where like I don't know if you, like, it's hard to tell in a video, but like it catches there. So where the nib section screws in is catching in the cap, and I just don't like that. And once again, bad engineering. Things I do like about the pen is that it writes like an absolute dream. Like you saw in the writing sample, it's smooth, it's wet, it's beautiful. Like, love that. I love this clip. It's super functional, spring-loaded, just amazing. As with Faber-Castell always, I love the build quality. Like, it feels secure, it feels robust. I don't have an issue with that at all. But what this pen does make me want to do is to get my hands on the Graf von Faber-Castell Tamatillo, which is like a sort of grown-up version of the Ambition. I want to try that pen. The balance seems like it would be better. The weight different. The weight, where the pen is weighted, feels, well, on paper, once again, looks like it would be better. So I really want to get my hands on one of those, but the price jump is huge. But it's a beautiful pen model, and I do love the Faber-Castell pens in general, and would love to try a Graf von Faber-Castell pen. But if we're reviewing this pen today, the Ambition from Faber-Castell, like, beautiful writer, great on the page. If you have smaller hands, if you don't mind the fact that there's no discernible grip section or whatever, this is going to be a lovely pen for you. It's nice and light, it's comfortable, but there are issues, and it is what it is. So thank you for watching this video about the Faber-Castell Ambition. I hope you found it interesting and useful. Like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel, I would really love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.